Joining us now to talk more, we have senior fellow at the National Security Institute and board member at the Special Operations Association of America, Andrew Borene. Andrew, great to see you.
Great to see you, Anna. Thanks for having me.
This deadline just feels eerily familiar back to June when Trump gave Iran 2 weeks and ended up ordering these B-52s to strike 3 nuclear facilities. Could Trump order an air campaign, as early as today?
I think all of the operational and tactical assets are in position should the president decide to go that route. And I think you're absolutely right. President Trump has demonstrated both with the Midnight Hammer operation you discussed and Absolute Resolve operation in Venezuela that he would like foreign adversaries to be aware that the United States is prepared to act if negotiations don't move forward. So I think you're right. I think that the situation is such that a precision strike on a nuclear facility akin to Midnight Hammer certainly would be achievable at any moment. And more sustained campaigns, things like sustained air and naval strikes akin to what we saw kind of in a Clinton national security policy in the Balkans, that is moving into position quite rapidly.
Yeah, look, we don't want to be alarmist, but we do have all hands on deck here in case that happens during the show. Let's listen to Trump at the Board of Peace meeting telling Iran, time's up, time to make a deal.
Now is the time for Iran to join us on a path that will complete what we're doing. And if they join us, that'll be great. If they don't join us, that'll be great too. But it'll be a very different path. They cannot continue to threaten the stability of the entire region, and they must make a deal. Or if that doesn't happen, I maybe can understand. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But bad things will happen if it doesn't.
As only Trump can say. Bad things, though. How does that translate militarily, Andrew? And why say this at a peace meeting?
So, as I said, I think that this administration has really communicated how it's going to conduct foreign policy, and that's going to be two-pronged. One, with creating credible pathways for speed, surprise, violence of action, as we would call that in operational planning, and also off-ramps for negotiation. And right now, the Ayatollah and the Iranian regime is being faced with very clear, overt U.S. presence and capabilities. If things were to unfold, I kind of assess 3 layers of possible U.S. action. One would be a precision strike that we were just discussing, something against like an Isfahan nuclear facility or other nuclear processing or storage facilities within Iran, and that could happen at any moment, even while these other next 2 options I'll discuss could be left on the table. Right. Another one might be things like a decapitation of the regime, series of raids or strikes targeting leaders. This administration or this president in 2020 made a targeted killing of General Soleimani in Iraq, which was really game-changing as far as reducing Iran's ability to project force against U.S. forces. A third prong would be a full-scale kind of sustained air and naval series of attacks that would start with attacking Iranian air defenses, moving toward more sustained presence to support a regime change in the country.
Well, the war hawks in the Republican Party say it's beyond time to do this, and Trump had said help was on the way to protesters there. They think it's time to act. But then you have the other wing of the party saying, no, we don't want to get into another war that we have a hard time getting out of. We're out of time. We may call on you later today as the news warrants. Thanks for joining us. Senior fellow at the National Security Institute, Andrew Borene. Thank you.